Hello everyone, welcome back to my history class. Today I am going to do Unit 5 of Class 7, that is Rurals and Buildings. Let's start with Qutub Minar, built around 1199 CE by Qutbuddin Aibak. If you look closely, its design is not just tall and grand, it's also full of intricate patterns. Under each balcony, you will find small arches and geometric carvings and inscriptions in Arabic. Now imagine this, 800 years ago, very few buildings were even made of stone or brick. So when common people saw such a massive tower reaching into the sky, they must have been absolutely amazed. It wasn't just a building, it was a symbol of power, skill and divine blessing. Now, monuments tells us about the technology and engineering of that period. In the early centuries, roofs and doors were built using a trebuchet style. That means horizontal beams placed across two vertical pillars. This was the main style between the 7th and 13th century, and you can see it in both Hindu temples and early mosques. Later, two big innovations changed everything. That is the first one. Arcuate style means using true arches to bear the weight of walls and roof, and use of limestone cement which harden the modern concrete, making large constructions faster and stronger. So from the simple corbelled roofs, Indian architecture evolved into massive domes and arches, all with locally developed engineering. Now let's move to the temples, the true jewels of early Indian architecture. Take the Kanjariya Mahadeva temple at Khajuraho, built around 1999 CE by King Gangadeva of the Chandela dynasty. It was dedicated to Lord Shiva and filled with intricate carvings. The temple had a grand gateway and a main hall called Mahamantapa, a central shrine called Garbhagriha, where the main deity was worshipped. Only the king, his family, and priests were allowed inside the inner shrine. It showed that the temple symbolized royal power and divine connection. Then we have the Rajarajeshwar temple at the Tanjore, built by Rajaraja Chola I. It had the tallest shikara of its time. Here's something fascinating. To place a 90-ton stone at the top, they built an inclined path almost 4 kilometers long. The stone was rolled slowly to the top using wooden rollers, a masterpiece of engineering, right? That's why even today the nearby village is called Charupallam, meaning village of the incline. Next, both Hindu kings and Muslim sultans built religious monuments, but not just for faith, they were also symbols of power, wealth, and legitimacy. For example, King Rajaraja Deva built the Rajeshwara temple for his god Rajarajeshwaram. See how the names match? That's not a coincidence. The king wanted to show that he was like a god on earth, that is ruling justly and divinely and powerfully. Muslim sultans, on the other hand, didn't claim to be divine, but they were called the shadow of God. Inscription from Alauddin Khalji's time even compared him to Moses and Solomon, two great lawgivers. So both faiths used architecture as political language to show that their rule was righteous and chosen by God. Even public works like tanks, wells, and reservoirs were marked a royal responsibility. For example, Iltutmish built the Hauz-i-Sultani in Delhi, a massive reservoir that supplied water to the capital and symbolized a just and caring king. So architecture wasn't only about beauty, it was also about legitimacy, divine right, and social welfare. Now, a sensitive but very important point. Why were temples often attacked by rival rulers? Temples were not just a place of worship, they were symbols of power and pride. When kings attacked each other, destroying a temple meant humiliating the rivals' god and authority. For example, the Pandya king Sri Vallabha once attacked Sri Lanka and took away a golden Buddha statue. Later, Sinhara's king Sena II invaded Madurai to recover it, not just as a treasure but as a symbolic victory. Even Rajendra Chola I filled his new Shiva temple with idols and statues taken from defeated rulers, that from Bengal, Odisha and Andhra. Similarly, Muhammad of Ghazni, who ruled in Afghanistan, raided India almost every year. He attacked the Somnath temple and others, looting their wealth. For him, it was both religious propaganda and show of military strength. So in medieval times, attacking temples or mosques was not just religious, it was deeply political and symbolic. Next, under Mughals, Indian architecture reached its golden age. They didn't just build monuments, they built entire vision of paradise on earth. The Mughal rulers, that is Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir and Shah Jahan, all loved art, literature and design. Babur started the trend of Chaharbagh gardens, meaning 4 gardens. These are the square gardens divided into 4 sections by water canals, symbolizing paradise. Later emperors expanded this style. You can still see it in the places like Kashmir, Agra and Delhi. Then came Humayun's tomb, the first grand Mughal tomb built in India. It introduced features like central dome and tall gateway and one central hall surrounded by 8 rooms, and it was also made of red sandstone and white marbles. That is a classic Mughal look. By the time of Shah Jahan, architecture reached its artistic peak. He combined all earlier elements, that is domes, arch, and picture dura and symmetry to build masterpieces like Taj Mahal, Red Fort, and Diwan-i-Khas. Shah Jahan buildings were not just beautiful; they carried message of royal justice and divine order. In its Diwan-i-Khas, that is hall of private audience, his throne was placed on the raised platform, symbolizing the Qibla or direction of divine truth. Behind it were carvings of Orpheus playing music. A symbol of harmony and peace among all beings. So his court symbolized justice, equality, and universal peace. In his capital Shahjahanabad, the Red Fort faced the Yamuna River, showing the royal control over both land and water. The only highest noble could have riverfront gardens, others had to live further inland. That's how even architecture showed the access to power. Between 8th and 18th century, ideas spread across regions like never before. For example, the elephant stables in Vijayanagara were influenced by Bijapur Sultan architecture. The temples in Vrindavan were built using Mughal palace styles, and Bengali Bangla domes, shaped like curved hut, became so popular that even Mughals used it in their architecture. This shows that Indian culture was deeply connected and constantly evolving, and architecture was not divided by religion. It was shared art growing through exchange and adaptation. So that's it for today's class. I will upload next unit in the coming days. Till then, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel.